Hello, I'm Quinny. Welcome to the channel, guys. Really special video today. The much anticipated new dynamic tournament rewards are released as of yesterday, the 15th of April 2021. Today we're going to be going through what we've got so far, give you my 2 cents, my thoughts, my interpretation of everything. Like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. And let's get stuck into it. Now, first of all, guys, I suspect this will actually be a little three-part series. So I'll be covering everything that we got from the announcement yesterday. We will probably get further developments on some of the exact details of what we've had already, which we'll cover probably in a part 2. And then I suspect a part 3 will be, again, they kind of intimate there's more things in the pipeline to come. So stay tuned to the channel and watch out. I suspect we'll probably have 3 parts talking about everything that's been going on with the changes to the reward structure. Now, this has been much anticipated, probably since about February time, maybe not January, but definitely around kind of February, March time. So it's really good to see something come into place within a kind of 8 to 6 week turnaround time from the team, which is fantastic. They always do amazing in terms of delivering on good timescales. One thing I will say before we get into the nitty gritty of it all, if you are new to SoRare, there's a couple of things to understand. The first one is changes I've made in the past, if they've not been correct, they have been quite quick to adjust and to amend them. So please do bear that in mind. You know, if something doesn't work, they're not stubborn in that sense. So, you know, take everything with a pinch of salt and we'll move forward together and we see how everything develops. The second thing, which I know is probably the main talking point, and we'll get onto that as we come to in a bit more detail shortly, but they obviously changed to the ETH prizes and how all that works. If you guys, I spoke about this in the stream last night with Max, but if you guys are relatively new to the platform, you know, the threshold payment was introduced to help new managers on board and to build the platform up, you know, and I think that's been a resounding success. And anyone who is disappointed of any changes or maybe even that kind of thing being removed from the platform, I can understand why you'd be disappointed, but 100% like the intention for that when it was released, and again you can go check the videos I dropped at the time, and as well as all their kind of median channels, you can read and see all the stuff for yourself, but it was to assist with people on board on the platform. I think at that exact point in time, Ether had went from being maybe about £200 odd up to about 400-500 in a really quick period, and then further on from there, obviously, as you can check the price of Ether, you know what it's done since then. And it was to help people combat against that, oh well, I've started with X budget and now I need a Y budget to actually step into the market and get the kind of cards I'm after. So with that sentiment in mind, we'll go through the actual announcement we've got here. Okay, so it says it's a 6-minute read. I'm not going to read every bit of it to you. Again, I suspect if you're here, you've read it yourself and you're just looking for my interpretation and just any other bits you might have missed or whatever. Now, Nick, the CEO at SoRare, did a tweet earlier in the week talking about how amazing they're doing funding wise, and again they really start that off with this here. Now, one thing you've got to understand, right, is if you run a company and your job is to do with the communication of the company to new users, you wouldn't be openly talking about how well the company's doing and how financially stable it is whilst making some sort of financial retraction to the user base, you know. So I think they've been very deliberate in not only Nick tweeting that out the other day, but in starting this off with that kind of statement, is to really put that back to the front of your mind when you read the rest of this. They are doing well and they are growing, and again the kind of agenda behind that, we'll see that in the fullness of time. But at this stage, I suspect it's to keep everyone kind of sober minded and thinking, right, okay, well, these are the first phase of the changes we've had announced to us, let's see what the next ones are. So they go on to talk about, you've had the feedback from us and, you know, yada yada, all that kind of thing. They're looking for a scalable solution. Now I think the iteration that they develop into next, the one that we've been presented with so far, definitely has to have easy scalability to it, because again, when the ETH thresholds were brought in, we spoke about this on the stream, there was less than 450 managers with 10 cards or more when that was brought in, and now we're at about 1,500 or so on 10 cards or more, that is, you know. So as the platform scales and grows, they don't want to be revisiting this every 6 months and going, right, what the fuck do we do now? You know, anything like that. So it's definitely sensible from them, it's definitely smart. I think it's good for all involved, because then you know no matter how big it goes, everything will move in scale, and it helps you to kind of forecast your SO5 entries, also what assets you're looking to acquire and deploy, that kind of thing. So they're going to talk about that, which is lovely as well, and it's really good that they're thinking ahead, because they're very clear in all their kind of goals that they're looking to onboard the 20 top leagues, and they want this to be, you know, one of the biggest fantasy football things in the world, you know, with millions of users and all that kind of thing. So now this is the key one, right? So the size of the game week prize pool is influenced by how many SoRare licensed clubs have fixtures in that window. Okay, now we get more clubs joining the platform in a nice kind of continuous stream. I do suspect we'll get another raft of 3 or 4 probably coming up, but do bear in mind it is coming into the off season for Europe, where most of their licenses, most of their kind of pending licenses that we hope and expect to get are active in. And releasing some of those cards in the off season strategically for them as a company might not be the best thing to do. So in terms of what clubs come on and the velocity they come on, that might be a little bit more controlled than what it's been before. Whereas before, the impression I've had is that they sign the license deal, they get everything ironclad, signed, sealed, delivered, boom, and they drop it on the platform. That might still happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a wee bit more of a tactical approach in terms of, you know, maybe when the new European season comes back, maybe we get 2 or 3 clubs in quick succession that have been in the pipeline for them. You know, they've been in the oven getting hot. So it's kind of hard to see. Now, this is also why I suspect there'll be a part 2 of this, because these tables are lovely, and again, I suspect that you've looked at them. If you haven't, I'll link this blog that I'm on detailing this. I'll link it in the description below. Okay. This is why I suspect we'll get a part 2, because it just tells us the overall scope of projected rewards versus the old system. It doesn't really give us an absolute kind of breakdown into Division 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so which is something we need more details on. And what will happen as time progresses and we get our hands on the new system is we will be able to crack the formula quite easily, right? Okay, 18 clubs in Champion Europe equals X amount of rares, and you know, that kind of thing. And once we have those kind of information, again, I'll come back with a video and we'll have a wee talk about it, and we'll see what we can work out. But overall, the reward increase is phenomenal. It really, really is. You know, if you look at, for example, in game week 149, this top example here, half of the leagues are closed. The way it's going to be structured now is as long as there's one licensed club, the region will be open. Now, one thing I'll say on that note before I kind of go into the actual rewards and all the stuff you're probably here to listen to me talk about is that's going to play a really big part in your multipliers. You know, if there's only 1 or 2 clubs out, realistically, you know, let's say it's Vissel Kobe. Everyone has got Kukuchi who's going to be playing them, right? But who's going to make the best use out of Kukuchi is the guy that's got the biggest multiplier and probably made him captain as well on top of that, you know. So it will be those really fine details and those really quiet game weeks, and it might only be 5 cards on offer, 3 cards or something like that, but that will be the difference. So I think you might notice people are encouraged a bit more to really grow their gallery, because some of the sales that I've been tempted to push the button on over the last month, I've had to take a step back from, because I'm looking at him, I'm like, fuck, that guy's at level 14, you know, like, he might be out of season, but he's actually got a really good multiplier. Is releasing that really smart for me in the longer term? I want to stay competitive, I want to see my name on the leaderboards, that kind of thing. So I think you will notice a focus go back towards XP boosting and building and that kind of thing as well. On the big game weeks, the first thing I thought when I seen this is it's just like a gold match day on Football Index, kind of, you know, when it's a weekend and it's a free-for-all, we're all going to be getting our hands on prizes, basically, you know, for, you know, not all of us, you know, but you understand, the pool is growing massively. You can see by the numbers that are on screen at the moment, and I think that does reward a lot of people who build slightly bigger galleries, you know, that when you deploy more, you can get more back. And I think this is pretty much the base synopsis of what's going on here. More teams equals more rewards, less teams equals less rewards, and that's pretty much the size of it. Now, the first thing they do about e-thresholds, and right before we get into the e-thresholds, I need you to take a wee pause and do me a massive favour. Like the video, subscribe, share, retweet. If you find me on Twitter, all that kind of stuff, guys, means a lot to me. Really helps YouTube algorithms and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Really means a lot to me, so please do that. Okay. Now, like I said at the top of the video, this was brought in as a stepping stone to help guys on board. Now, what you need to remember, right, is between now when this new change has been brought to us, and when it was introduced in, like, let's say December, November, whatever it was, everyone who's come in there, we've all been kind of saying it on Twitter and streams and stuff like that, but we're also mega early adopters, you know. So if you've enjoyed those ETH payments like I have throughout this period of time, you should have been building your gallery up with your base cards, you know, like your really cheap guys that you could get in at D4, build your ETH, get yourself in the market, get yourself trading, build up a wallet, and you should be really well placed now compared to somebody And again, like games, every game on the planet always rewards long-standing players. You know, like if you're playing an online shooting game or whatever like that, you know, like Call of Duty, Rainbow Six, any of these types of things, when you're a better rank, you play with better players. You know that, and again, you don't become a better rank from playing it for one day. It's something that you need to grind out. You need to perfect. You know, you need to practice, that kind of thing. And anyone who's been here from November to basically mid-April, thick end of 5-6 months, you've been very well compensated for your time and your energy on the platform and your enjoyment. So I hope you have enjoyed it and you've made the most of it. Now, people will be disappointed when it goes away. Now, number one, the dollar, right? So it's been pegged to the dollar, which is cool for me, right? Because I remember getting ETH payments when it was first introduced, and the 0.01 was like £3.45, you know, because Ether was just much lower than what it is now. So pinning it into these dollar values works for me. I'm happy with that, because as Ether runs away, you can't expect them to start giving you £1,000 worth of ETH for hitting 200 points if it got crazy. But equally, if what you're worried about, what most people are worried about, if Ether was to move backwards, you're not going to be, you know, the 0.01 doesn't suddenly become a £3 payment anymore like it started off being. You're still going to have your 15 and your 30s until the back end of the summer when they introduce the new ones. Now, it's to facilitate progression, okay, that's the main, I can't say that's enough, that's the main thing with this game, is it wants you to progress, it wants you to get stuck in, it wants you to climb the leaderboards, okay. Now, for me, when I started, ETH thresholds didn't exist, of course, as you'll have gathered by now, and for me, chasing prizes was podiums, you know, that was it, cards and podiums, and that was all that got me excited. And as much as, like, I always put out a capable D4 team, like, it's never became, I think over Christmas it was definitely a priority, because we had ETH payments in the special weekly as well as a D4. Those game weeks it definitely was a priority, don't get me wrong, but most of the time I'm looking at D, and it's my situation, of course your situation will be different. But it is about that progression in terms of helping moving you on. I spoke about it in the Trilemma video, you know, but the way ETH moves at the moment, you can get opportunities to climb the ladder externally from the game in terms of acquiring ETH when it's maybe on a backwards movement, and then spend it in the market when it's an upward movement. So there's a lot of dynamics at play. Now, the reward drops, I'm actually really happy with as well, because again, like, you've got to remember the sentiment. If you were here to build up and collect 0.1s and 0.2s, right, 0.01s and 0.02s, the agenda for that should have been to, you know, grow the gallery, build the gallery out bigger, obviously enable you to make profit quicker and that kind of thing, of course, game enjoyment and all the rest of it. But ultimately it would be, I'm going to buy these kind of naff cards that no one's really using, because I know they'll score me 40 to 60 points every game week, and I can collect my ETH, build my ETH up and go get some better cards. Now, you know, for hitting over 200 points, you're guaranteed to be in a reward drop, even if you don't finish in the places, you know. So that same agenda is still being fulfilled in my eyes from the company, because, you know, when you're, and fair enough, they're only tier 3s, right, but if you were to pick up, let's say 6 game weeks in the month, best case scenario, and you picked up the 0.2s every time, that would be 0.12. Now 0.12 at current ETH prices would probably buy you a bottom end tier 2, top end tier 3. So to get a random chance just for hitting 200 to get one just gifted to you on top of anything else that might be running that we're yet to discover, I think it's a fantastic development. It helps guys on board really easily, because if you've got a common goalkeeper, getting to 200 points isn't really too much of an ask, and then to be in with a chance of getting a random reward drop as well on top of that, I think it's fantastic. I have spoke about it in videos before that they do have a lot of cards that really do need to be issued as rewards that haven't been, because again, they've tried their best at every turn to make sure that you get the best experience possible, and a part of that is making sure your reward that you earn, you know, throughout this whole time you've been here, isn't an injured guy, isn't a guy that sits on the bench, isn't a guy that's in the reserves, isn't a guy that doesn't ever play. They've always tried to make sure any reward you do capture can be useful for you. So with these reward drops, they will be the bottom end tier 3s mostly, I suspect, the guys that haven't been dished out as rewards for the last 6 months because of those changes. So you might find some of those guys are a bit less desirable, but again, it's just part of the journey, you know. It's like any game, you get cards that you might not have. And I've had them before. Like, I remember picking up Marco Ilmahatarin or something like that. He plays for Charleroi, I think. And I picked up Mervo Bocadi. Both those guys I was not thrilled about picking up. Even Heio Kawabe at Hanfries Hiroshima and Ryo Takao Gamba Osaka. All 4 of those rewards I was not excited about picking up when I got them. I was just like, okay, put them with the rest. But all 4 of them, in their own way, were very valuable to my gallery, and D4 entries and in Asian lineups and all these types of things. So sometimes you can't really judge a book by its cover, in that sense, So sometimes these grinder rewards, you pick up a low end tier 3, and you need to sit on it for a while, wait for it to come in season, come back from injury, change a manager, whatever. So yeah, in a nutshell, you can see that there. The special weeklies now, they've been banging on about making special weeklies one of the more attractive competitions. It looks like they're going to keep it as a max average score of under 40, which again will encourage you guys to be getting in the market now. Not in the market, sorry, into that tournament now. By stepping into that tournament, if you do finish in the places, you're going to be getting like unique rewards, okay? Now that's not a unique card, don't misquote me on that, but if you're going to get a special edition, Mauer, who's the goalkeeper at Dallas, it's on offer this week, no one else has that. So if you were to bag that card, you have just got a very attractive asset in your gallery. So by opening that up where it's max average score less than 40. Now I've got some guys in my gallery that shoot that way, right? But they're not the focus of my gallery, my strategy. So I won't be like finger on the pulse knowing that guy whose average score under 40 is because of 5 sub appearances and now he's going to start and I can get him in the special weekly and he's on penalties when he starts, or whatever. You'll have all that information and you'll outgun guys like me, no problem at all, I absolutely promise you. Special weeklies will only be once a week, and then final note at the end. I feel like I've missed something when I've been speaking about this because what have I been waiting for? Yeah, so they kind of, where is it? Is it the progression stage? So they basically talk about that the ETH payments are going to be moving away and they want to change it to a new exciting system that allows you to progress in the game. Now, that might be some form of revised ETH payment or dollar payment perhaps. It might be some form of, XP for you as a manager. I was talking to Max at SoRare Data and a few other guys, and there's definitely a nice kind of consensus within the community that one of the things they want to integrate into the platform is like a ranking, of some description on your manager page, on you as an individual. And you look at SoRare Data and the competitions they've ran, that's the kind of thing that they're working towards, and I think that might be something we might see as a platform overall. And the really exciting thing about that I really like is it's almost like it's like an official rank of fantasy football, global fantasy football. It's a bit street cred, if you like. So if you're ranked on, however this works or whatever, but if as and when SoRare grows, let's say we get to 100,000 users and you're in the top 1,000 people in terms of ranking or whatever, and that'll be based on success, it's not based on gallery size and that kind of thing, then you're a really knowledgeable manager, and you will probably find yourself really active on, various social media channels and having a lot more fun and interacting with the game when that kind of thing becomes apparent to all, because at the moment we don't have anything like that, so I suspect the new progression system will probably have some sort of reward benefit, might be additional cards. I'm more inclined to think it might be something to do with an ETH threshold replacement type of thing, okay? And I'll explain why. Because at the top of the video, like I explained, it does definitely seem that they're very keen to push out the fact that the company's doing really well, it's really cash rich, blah blah blah, that kind of thing, okay? Now, for as long as they're taking Ether on auctions, they have excess, they have Ether, they have money, to reinvest into the platform. At the moment, the only thing they do reinvest in is prizes. They don't invest in marketing. They don't invest in, they'll have, operational costs in terms of achieving the licenses, legal costs and meetings and, all that kind of thing. But above and beyond that, their running costs are minimal. There's like 11, 12 guys over there, like, so I suspect, we'll get something we'll all be very, very happy with as the dust settles. This is pretty much my overall thoughts, guys. I've read this now 3 or 4 times. If there's anything that I have missed, I'm very conscious I don't want to miss anything, but if there's anything I have missed, then please drop it in the comment section down below. I'll be more than happy to interact and make sure that I overturn any stones that I've missed. If there's anything that I've misinterpreted, or me and you have interpreted differently, again, get in the comment section, we'll talk about it. I've got no problem with that. I am not, all knowing and all seeing. I just have a decent track record of reading things correctly. And I think that this is going to be great for all involved. I really do. Probably final note, if you are brand new, let's say you joined the platform February to March time, and ETH thresholds have been your primary agenda, they're not going anywhere till the end of the summer. You can still chase them down for the foreseeable, and as and when new changes come out, you might want to readjust. You might have to, you might want to readjust your strategy your gameplay involvement might go down, might go up. It just all depends on you individually, you know. I'm not one to, you know, my gallery is where it's at, and you know, I'm really chuffed with it, and I don't see this as anything being anything but a positive for me, you know. As the company grows and expands, like I said to you before, guys, in December there was less than 450 managers with more than 10 cards. You know, that is mind-boggling to think that, you know, because when you go into tournaments, how many guys are you really competing with now? You know, even though I can quote you the number for how many have got over 10, think about the guys that have got 9, 8, 7 and 6. You know, so it's so competitive now. It's taken such a massive leap and bound. I would expect similar growth to happen this year for a variety of reasons I'm not going to talk about in this video. And if that was to happen and you were armed up with more reward cards than you were previously able to get, as well as the interim ETH payment that's pinned to the dollar, as well as then the next iteration of whatever comes next, I think you'll find when the dust settles that you come out of it pretty shining. Just my opinion, just my, you know, that's all it is, guys. And I mean that in terms of your enjoyment, your growth on the platform and getting stuck into it. Guys, the game week we're about to come into, as you're probably watching this video, has been so massively anticipated by me, it's untrue. I did an amazing stream with Max on the channel last night. It's SoRare Data. If you haven't checked that out, then please do. It's a good giggle. There's a wee bit of a technical glitch about 5 minutes in, just skip past that, it's all good. The final episode of the MLS SoRare preview will come out in the afternoon today. I'm going to get this video out as quick as I can. It might be afternoon this comes out, I'm sorry if it is. No, probably will be morning. I'll probably leave the music off it. Sometimes I need to wait a wee bit longer with the music because it's copyrighted, so I need to like I need to do stuff, and sometimes it takes a bit of time. So we'll see how it goes. I'll probably, yeah, I'm just talking out loud now, guys. I'm sorry for wasting a wee bit of your time there for 20 seconds. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I can't say enough, guys. Support for the channel goes so far. I've got, oh guys, I've got a big announcement I'm going to be dropping over the weekend. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be so good. Yeah, I've got a big announcement to come over the weekend. I totally forgot about that. Only came to me this morning. Like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. Have a great game week 158, the Royal Rumble, MLS, J-League, K-League, Challenger, Champion Euro, Global, Under 23s. It's all happening. Like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. Stay out of trouble, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.